Hello and welcome to this demonstration of the Streamingware application as implemented by Team 14 in CS 6310 this spring 2021 at Georgia Tech. Throughout this demonstration, we'll be going through the different features of the Streamingware application, and we'll be showing how these sets of features and actions that the user can make through the user interface satisfy the customer requirements. In addition, some other architectural features that we'll be going over are authentication, auditability, and archivability, which are additional non-functional requirements of our system. When the user accesses a Streamingware application, they will be presented with a login page. Before they log in, none of the tabs can be accessed at the top. There's the regular user, and there's the admin, and there's the super admin. So there are three roles in the system. The regular user, when accessing, can view the data and add everything as they would like to, but they cannot retract movies or do any timing changes. They cannot actually move forward time in the system. In order to move forward time in the system, you have to be logged in as an admin. So you'll not be able to actually view or move the time in the system unless you're logged in as the admin. The next type of user, the third type, is the super admin. So the super admin has the ability to run audits and has the ability to archive. We'll not yet log in as a super admin just yet. We will currently log in as the admin. An important relationship to point out from an authentication perspective is that the super admin and the admin are that's not a superset relationship. In this system, they're considered different roles with different responsibilities. So now I'm going to log in as the admin, and I'm going to demonstrate how to interact with the system and how to propagate time forward. First tab is the demographic group tab, where you can see the short name, long name, number of accounts, and spending figures. On the demographic page, I might decide that I want to add another demographic group. So I might add sports fans. So I added sports fans, and there might be 8,000 of them. I click away and I come back, and it's been updated in the system in the listing here. You might also want to update the sports fans. So say the number of people in the viewers were actually different, and I wanted to make it 42 and 2,000 accounts. You click come back, and this has been updated. Say I wanted to make that range a little smaller. I'm able to update the demographic group so long as an event has not been watched. Moving along to studios. Studios produce the events. I can add studios using the Add Studio button, and I'm going to add Warner Brothers. I click back onto my studio tab, and I can now see that the studios are there with their short name, which are their unique IDs. I have their long names, and I also have their revenues. The reason that their current revenue is listed as greater than 0 is because initially up front, we went ahead and offered some events to show this initially. If I click over to the streaming services, you can see that Netflix has incurred some licensing costs, which happens whenever they offer events. Before moving over to the offer list to show this, I'm going to add another streaming service. I'm going to add Hulu Plus. I'm going to offer it initially at $20 a month. You can see that updates in the system with no initial licensing or revenues. What I can now do is before an event is offered, an actual event is watched by a demographic group, is I can actually change that fee up until that point. So I might realize that Hulu needs to have a more competitive price, so it'll drop that figure down. Now on the offer list, I can see what streaming services by their unique ID are offering what events, where each event is unique to the name of the event and the year of the event, which is why we have two versions of Mulan. For events like pay-per-views, which will show how to enter those on the events tab, such as the MMA Championship from 2020, there's a fee associated with that the demographic group must pay, no matter if they have a subscription to Netflix already. So if I go to the events tab, I'll see those current offered events. They currently have been offered, but they do not have to be offered to be in here. This is a history of all the events that have been produced by a studio. So to add an event, I click on the Add Event button, and I might want to add a movie. I might want to add something for Warner Brothers, such as Superman versus Batman, 2016. And the licensing cost is going to be $5,000. That is how much the studio will receive from the streaming service to offer that event on their platform. I could also add a pay-per-view, which is the other type of event, such as a soccer championship from 2002. And I can see that that is updated as well. Once again, prior to an event being watched by a demographic group, I can update. So I might want to go in and change the soccer championship in 2002, realize that there's actually some ads in there and not as many people are going to be as interested in a 2002 championship. So I'm going to go there and you can see that this has actually been updated with the length and the licensing fee. Now to offer those events, I would go to the Offer Event tab. I want to have Hulu offer the soccer championship from 2002, and I want it to be offered at $20 a view. I might also go into Hulu and decide that Hulu is going to be the platform where Batman's going to be offered. There's no fee associated with this since it's a movie, so I can leave that blank. When I go back to the tab, I now see that my pay-per-views are updating, and the new movie I put in, Batman vs. Superman, is up to date. So now, if I look over at the Studios tab, I can see that all of my studios have now generated revenue for the current month. Now this will, the totals will not increment until I propagate time. So the current is always the current month in the system. So current to 10/20/20, the studios have made this much revenue. There's not been a previous month yet, so that's why that is 0. The streaming services have incurred licensing costs, but have not generated revenues because the demographic groups have not yet watched any events. So let's go ahead and add some watching. I'm going to have my age 40 to 50 watch Mulan from 1991 on Netflix at 50% of them. I'm going to see if I click over on my demographic group for those viewers that 11,000 is the sum that they have spent this month. I'm going to then go with the same group of the same demographic group and watch the 2020 version of that, and maybe a lower percentage watch that. I'll see that that figure doesn't change because on the execution of the first watch, they do not have to pay any more licensing fees or streaming costs to the service. On the other hand, if that group were now to go in and watch the MMA Championship from 2020, which was a pay-per-view, they will have updated their prices. And now, since all of those were for Netflix, we'll see that Netflix has earned revenue. You can also go in and have the sports fans watch some things. I could have 20% of them watch that. It takes a little second to update. And then I could also see that if a smaller portion of them decide that they want to watch the soccer championship on Hulu, that they will still be charged. Now that events have been watched, I'm going to demonstrate that I cannot update any of the groups now. The account numbers. So I can update the long name. So maybe I realized that initially whenever I demonstrated this, I actually had a typo and I put 42 and I changed this. And I realized that really there's only 100 accounts. Well, the system's going to block me from doing the account change because that's tied to transactions, but I was able to correct the typo in the long name. And similarly in the streaming service, Hulu Plus, I cannot change the subscription fee to be more competitive because viewers have watched events. Also in my events, since something like the MMA Championship has been watched, I might go in and decide that I initially listed it incorrectly for the duration. It's actually 190 minutes long, but I cannot change the fee to an extraordinary value because it has been tied to transactions. And you can see that here. It is now 190 minutes long, but the licensing fee is static to what it was. Now, if I go forward in time and I advance the month to where it's now the 11th month of 2020, I can now go in and update my demographic groups. I can change the viewers, and then I can change that to 2,500 accounts, and that will be updated. Likewise, in the streaming service, Hulu Plus can now raise its prices if they wanted to. It's not going to affect total revenue, which you can now see is 0 for the current month. The previous month is tracked, and the total revenue is being tracked as well. I can now also go in and update an event. As such. Now, another important feature of the application is retraction of events. So to simulate that, I'm going to go to my offer list, which now is reading 0. Because it's a new month, the offer list will go back to 0 because each month the streaming service has to relicense from the studios. I'm going to offer Mulan, again from Netflix. And I'm also going to offer on Hulu, Batman vs. Superman again from 2016. And I see them both appear in the offer list again. Now, if I decided as admin, I can retract an event. I'm going to go into Netflix, select Mulan from 2020. And if I go to my offer list, I now see that that event is no longer offered. As a feature of, as a non-functional requirement, we also added the ability to archive and audit. I'm going to first demonstrate how archive works. So I'm going to propagate the time forward more than 3 months in advance. So we're now at the month for 2021. This is 6 months from the beginning of this system, when we started the system. I'm going to go in and add another demographic group. I'm also going to add a new studio. I see that these are both showing, and these are entered into the system in 2021. If I go to the archive, I log in as the super admin. And I click archive once again to actually execute the command, we'll see that data for the last 3 months was deleted. So if I go to the demographic group, I now only see my anime viewers, and I only see that new studio that I just put in, having to log back in as admin to check this for the time for 2021. An additional feature of the super admin, as I will log back into now, is being to audit the system. The admin can go, or the super admin can look at all user activity, which is our auditability requirement. So they can go in and view what every user has put into the system. See where we were using the regular user initially to show some commands, as well as admin commands. And those are all time tracked as well. This has been a demonstration of the Streamingware application as developed by Team 14 and CS6310 this spring 2021 at Georgia Tech. Thank you for watching.